the Lions, the comparisons with the Bengals and all that stuff. And I think that structurally there are a lot of things that we can talk about. But I want to bring up a good story that I encountered at the airport on Tuesday. I was flying down to Cincinnati for Oakland to play Northern Kentucky. They're just across the river from Cincinnati. And so we all had to connect through Chicago. And I'm sitting there, and I'm at the bar in Chicago having a drink, waiting for our plane to leave to go to Cincinnati. And there's, as you would guess, a lot of Bengals fans. You know, they got their stuff on. Their team's in the Super Bowl. It's a weird feeling, I'm sure. But nonetheless, I was really blown away when I was talking to this guy. And he's a longtime season ticket holder, obviously a big-time Bengals fan his whole life. And he brought up the fact that, because I said the Bengals are pretty much the example of what I want the Lions to be, what I think the Lions are going towards. Homegrown, built through the draft, converting on tons of draft picks. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, their kicker next year for a combined $19 million altogether. Like, that's a hell of a start right there. 8 picks in the draft. You know, is the offensive line weak? Yeah, they can fix it through this year's draft. And he didn't seem very excited. And it was really weird to me. And I asked him, I said, if I were you, man, if the Bengals were the Lions, this town would be beside themselves right now. It would be so hyped up and everything. And he said, man, you got to understand, we hate our ownership so much that we think when the time comes to put this all together and build this thing into a dynasty, that Mike Brown, our owner, you know, the Brown family that has owned it for a long time, they're not going to do it. They're not going to spend the money. When Jamar Chase's contract comes up, they're not going to do it. They're not going to give him, you know, that $130 million contract. That we hate this ownership group so much that while it's fun and everything, it's hard to get excited long term. And that, Terry, that hit me like a punch in the stomach, man. Just to hear that guy talk about the ownership that way.
I hear you, because that's what we get here in Detroit, because the Lions haven't done anything. But I will say this. See, he's upset because he doesn't think they're going to take the next step. And I'll tell you what, the Lions sniff the Super Bowl, and then it comes down to try to sign guys long-term to create a dynasty here. I'm sure a lot of people in Detroit would say, you know what, they're not going to spend the money, because that is that's the black mark on the Fords. One, they don't know how to win. B, they don't know how to run an organization. And C, they don't want to spend money. That's the perception of the Ford family. But with all that said, if the Lions make the Super Bowl like the Bengals have, I believe this fan base would forgive the Fords. If you say something bad about the Fords, then they'll come after you. Because even now, even though it's fashionable to say something about the Fords, that they're not good ownership, but if you say anything about that team, there's a bunch of people in this town come after you. Those are my Lions. That's my team. I believe in my team. And I think if this team ever makes it to the Super Bowl, that this fan base will forgive the Fords for 6 decades of incompetency.
Let's do that, Sawyer.
Well, because half of them, think about what you're saying. Because think about how long. So the duress of what, if they get there, let's say they get there in what, 5 years, right? 2027. So if they get there in 5 years, I'll be 55, right? Like it's sort of the numbness and sort of what we've been put under. I think you're right, Terry. It goes back to our conversation, Neil, about organizations, and I look at back, why did the Red Wings organization, were we able to get over the top and win? Because of the commitment from the ownership and the team, the money and the compassion, the money, the fan, the feeling are all together.
And European, you tell me, D-Mac, and Sawyer's going to put that on the YouTube poll right now on our YouTube chat thread. If the Lions went to the Super Bowl, would you forgive? Is that fair, Terry? Would you forgive the Fords? I'm curious to see what people would be like.
I personally will vote no.
What?
But I'm voting no.
He personally
I think
vote
most
no.
people will say yes.
Yeah. So, D-Mac, let me ask you this, though. And you tell me. I contend the day things changed for the Red Wings was the day that they were first into Europe. The day that they brought the Russian players
Well,
over.
the day that
But
they were able to draft the Sergei Fedorovs and the Vladimir Konstantinovs and send Keith Gabe over and let him know and sort of get the Russian 5 documentary. That's sort of where it started.
Yeah,
but
and
they
the
were
European
ahead.
scouting.
What have the Red Wings been? They've always been ahead, whether it's Sweden, Russia.
And that was an investment, right? That was something where they valued it and spent more than
Dude,
other
when
teams
Jimmy
did.
D's standing there with the bag, the real bag with the money in it back in the day, because it's late 80s, sort of like that's the real. Yes, that's an investment. That to me, when somebody's handing you the bag, no matter what it is, that's sort of the investment gone good. But yeah, so here's the whole thing, Neil, is that what we're hoping for as we build, Terry, and I think this is it, is the people in charge. Is we see more of the football people, as we say, making the decisions and the salary cap, because you brought this up, the thing with the Bengals is the team and the management and stuff are putting this team in position because of the contracts, because of the drafting, so they don't have to do this yet, so there's opportunity. I believe that things are different here in Detroit because we saw all the draft picks play last year. So I think that the mentality of the ownership, because we're not dealing, here's the thing, the Bengals are dealing with the Brown, right? And I know we're dealing with the same family, but you got Sheila and things have changed. We can agree that things have sort of changed in the last few years and things are different, so I hope not. But it's interesting to see that, and at the end of the day, that goes to be successful, you have to have the ownership, the dollar, and the general manager and the team all on the same page, making the right decisions, the right investments, and whether it's early investments. So the Russians, the Swedes, like this was the Bitcoin, the NFTs before they were popular, the metaverse. The Red Wings were on it first.
Yeah, and that was the day it changed because they chose to invest in an area and dominated. Once they did, they performed.
Well, then you got Hawk and Anderson just picking guys out of the late rounds, and before it was even cool, so everybody else. But if you watch the Red Wings, that's their thing. Now they dip into Germany. Everybody else dips into Germany. So the bottom line is what makes, if we're talking the Red Wings, is because the guys put the work in. They have the credentials, but nobody outworks them. So if you see, because management, right, has allowed, Steve Yzerman's pretty much has the reins, right? So that means ownership, but that's a built. Look at how long that relationship, even though it's happened, has been built.
T-Foss, what about this one on the YouTube chat thread? TevSauce2 says, yes, I would, because Sheila is early into her reign, and I'm not going to hold her stupid parents against her. You agree with that?
I think she is different than the parents. The parents, and I've talked to all of them, the parents they didn't care about public opinion. If you wanted Matthew Stafford gone, they would do the exact opposite and keep him. When you wanted Matt Millen gone, what did the old man do? He extended him. And here's the thing about the Lions that annoys me, and Sheila Hamp broke the mold. The Detroit Lions are the poster child for the good old boy network. And at least when she got Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, she actually did a national search. She started from scratch. She got her advisors and said, okay, we're tearing this down. We're starting all over. Let's find out who we think is going to be the best person to run this organization and the best person to coach this. They may not have gotten it right. We don't know. But at least they did what normal organizations do. The old man, the first general manager was his drinking buddy, Russ Thomas. Then the next general manager was the boy of Russ Thomas. They were buddies. Third, why did they hire Matt Millen?
Whose boy was he?
Because we had good conversations with him when he came in to meet with us before games. We liked Matt because that was their boy, or William Kelly Ford Jr.'s boy. So 3 general managers, they hired 3 guys because they like them. Not to win games, not to win championships, but we like them. These good guys. That's not the reason you hire somebody. Not for this.
No, that's the reason you have a drinking buddy.